This Zoom replay video was originally streamed summer 2020 and is a part of the Tibet House US Menla online offerings. To learn more about upcoming retreats in person and online, please visit our website at menla.org.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Good night, good evening, good morning. Greetings of peace. I want to welcome everybody. So I want to invite you to breathe gently and gradually connecting with your natural breathing. Just take this moment to connect to your breathing and just feel the air come in and out, this natural movement. And just take this first moment to connect to yourself, and just where you are. So where are you, not only physically, but where are you in your past? Just take this moment to connect. And also I invite you to open your heart and your mind to this sharing, what I came here to share tonight, this evening, about the Amazon flower essence. So I want to greet each one of you also with this force of the Amazonian rainforest. And so I invite you to this breathing, connect also with nature. So even if you are in a building far from nature, but you can still connect with this nature through your imagination, through your feeling, through your love, and connect. So just use your imagination this moment you can bring an imagery of a beautiful place you like in nature, with the water, with the forest. So I invite you to permeate yourself with this energy of love and life, open for this so rich, so many different manifestations of life in nature. So I don't know if all of you know about flower essence in general. I'll be talking about this Amazon flower essence system, but I would like to say just a little bit about the flower essence, because this is a very subtle kind of essence. So it's a very subtle therapy, and this was started last century. Dr. Ba in England, he was a doctor, and so he was the first one, the pioneer that came with this study. And so he was very brave in that time to bring that like so subtle way through the flowers to some kind of nourishment, some kind of, even it's called flower remedy, but there is no bioactive principle in those essences. It's high diluted. So this work in our psychological and emotional and mentally also, in all those levels of ourselves, helping to balance human being. So in this way, so flower essence therapy, it brought, and it still brings, a new therapeutical paradigm, because it's a different way of seeing human being, and this study about health and imbalances, In Amazon flower essence, we don't even say so much, we don't use so much, we don't talk so much about disease and sickness. Anything that's, you know, that in that area, you know, about disease or sickness, problems, this is all imbalances. It's when human beings out of balance, so we start to develop, you know, those things. So that time, long ago, he brought that hope. So was a real like opening in this context of, you know, health and you know how to treat people. So very beautiful to also. So I think it's important to mention that. And so he was exploring and researching these therapeutical properties, you know, the flowers in the pure water with the irradiation of the sun. So, and so this is a subtle therapy. So what we study, what we believe is that the information of the flower, you know, is, you know, the water, this element of the water, it captures that information. It's a very subtle, you know, so it captures that information, and through that, you know, we can also interact with that. So it's very subtle, but at the same time very profound. We have great results with flower essence, helping us to balance in this path of health and self-knowledge. So it's very rich. So even when Dr. Ba brought that you know, about, so it's a different way of looking, you know, human as a whole individual being in a context. So we need to consider, we need to, you know, englobe that context. And health, and we understand health as a matter of equilibrium and good communication among all the different parts and levels of it. So how this individual interacts with the environment where it exists. So it's very important to, you know, to have that understanding. So this it's this first, you know, just a first explanation about flower essence and how that, you know, so in our system, you know, we consider the Amazon flower essence system, we consider those flower remedies as a nutrition much more than, no, we don't even call remedy. Even in English, it's more used as a flower remedy, but it's more like a nourishment for the subtle aspects of human being. That's so important, you know, because health is way beyond just the physiologic functioning. We need to be aware of all those levels and nourish those aspects and our health pattern. You know, each human being, we come with this health pattern, and we need to connect to that in order to be healthy, in order to cultivate well-being. So it's an important point in that flower essence therapy. And another thing that's interesting in that first beginning is how we understand the action of the flower. So how that works, because it's so subtle, just the flower and the water with this the light of the sun, a little bit of the heat also, but not not so much. And then we dilute that. So actually the way it works, it's through, we say it's interaction of consciousness field. So the consciousness field of the plant kingdom interacts with humans' consciousness field. So some researchers and I mean some lines, they even say, they still when they talk about flower essence, they say that's vibrational, or that works through frequency. But as we have been studying and experimenting this, we understand that's even more subtle, than that. So it's actually direct, like connecting to the information that's in that plant, in that flower. So the consciousness is the main, because the awareness is the best we have. I mean, when we are in any process of like a healing process, or just trying to solve some problems in our life, that we can call this path of self-knowledge, just trying to align yourself with your own essence and express the best you have, anything you are looking for. So we need to connect, we need to be aware of that. So that aspect of being conscious, of being aware of, where I am, where you are. So this who I am, all those profound questions that moves us ahead. So this is interesting, because the Amazon flower essence is very profound in that sense, because this environment of Amazon rainforest is so powerful. It's so beautiful and mysterious in the same time. Have been studying this for so long, and we know just a little bit because it's so rich. So through this flower, so that's even when we, this is also interesting to share, because we don't see a plant as just as a resource for us, because human being in general, like humanity, a big part of it, it looks, it sees like nature as a resource, for humans, like the water, and then the plants, the food, just for us. And it's not the way we understand. We have a deep respect, towards nature. In that work with the Amazon flower essence, everything that motivate our work is through this devotion, this respect, to this big and beautiful nature, that we are part of that nature. Now we don't see separately. So when we look at a plant, we see that plant as a whole being. It's not just some properties for my health. Even when I am studying some plant that's good for the liver, I'm not going to reduce that and just look that as oh, this is good for the liver. There's some properties here for that. So the plant it's a whole expression of life, right? So this is beautiful also, the way we embrace and the way we acknowledge, life, this life manifestations in the forest. Okay, so the forest is our main teacher in this, what we are studying about Amazon flower essence. The forest is our queen, is our main teacher. So the researchers that we actually, in Portuguese, we don't even call creators. In English we say co-creator, because there's two women that they channeled. So we have another word for that, someone that channeled, the system, channeled that study and this research about the flowers. Those two women, Maria Alice Campos Freire and Isabel Basset. So that was the context. I'm going to bring a little bit about that in the Amazon, the south of Amazon state in Brazil. So in the middle of the forest, a community. So Maria Alice was working there with medicinal plants, and it was more about how to cultivate that these natural, traditional ways of treating, people, and also preserving this nature, this conservation. So it was a beautiful work, through those different generations, like bringing the elders together with the children and the youth to study and to learn together about the plants, the medicinal plant, but also about like planting and cultivating, gardening. and also learning how to go to the forest to harvest the medicine. So that was the context, that so there was early 90s when Maria Alice was doing this work. She's my mom, Maria Alice, and so I was since I was a little girl, I was part of that process also. And in that context, they start to be called also after Isabel came. She was living in another community, and so she came also, and then they joined together for this work with the flowers. So they were being called from the flowers, from the plants, pretty much like the plants present themselves to them. Here we are to help you, because many things, when you're talking about health and like treating people, you can work with this biochemical, the bioactive, the principles, the properties of the plants to heal something in the liver or in the kidneys, or like inflammation process. So many different issues that, but there is some other aspects that you cannot access, and you cannot work with just physical and physiological aspects. We need to access and to reach this other level, the emotional field, the mental level, the human beings as a whole being, also this individual, this whole system. We are like microcosm, huh? Microcosm, so how to work with that. So that was when flower essence, they start to study about flower essence, how to Maria Alice, for example, she didn't even know about Bach, Dr. Bach. So she was like super intuitive with this work, starting putting the flowers in the waters and learning how to access that subtle information, and how to work with these other levels, helping people to balance, balancing their minds, their emotional, so it's a whole process of research, because for sure before they was giving this to people, they took many years just studying the plants. So the first step, it's even before you harvest and you prepare a flower essence. In our system, we have this great respect and devotion with nature, with forests. So we ask permission to the plants, and this is like the process. They're like meditating, like in silence, and also observing the plants, and also like getting the information. So everything in a plant is information, their color and their shape, the smell, and how they express like their natural behavior in nature, how they interact with other plants also, and even animals around, and the water, plants that's more in the dry, dry space, and other ones that like to grow by the water, different kinds. So everything, when you start to look, when you use like a glass of like being really, focus and open, as a channel for that that communication. So this is important. So they start to develop a communication with this plant kingdom, the elemental beings we call, from those flowers. Very beautiful. So this is the process. And then from that, and start to prepare the essence, and then to experiment the essence themselves, first of all, for sure. And so building this knowledge, receiving this knowledge through this wisdom, this wisdom that's in nature, it's also in us, so it's manifested, it's available, but many times we don't know, you're not able to catch, to access. So this is interesting also. So those women, they're like doing that work. When they realize, how big and how important and how precious was, is that and was, that task. So they felt, responsible, and they took that task of, being channels for that. And so this is interesting also to bring and to share. And so about the system, the Amazon flower essence system, especially because we have some specific approach, that so it's a little different from other flower essence systems, because what I was talking in the beginning is just flower essence, flower remedy in general, but in this Amazon system, I started already saying, because we look each like plant kingdom and each plant, so we look there how they know the behaviors, according to its original purpose. So try to catch that, to connect with that. What is the original purpose of that plant? Studying, there. So what we call properties. It's much more than just properties. It's the expression, the attributes of that we can that plant brings to us, bring to the world, not only human being, but in that communication, right? So, and also we also look, and we pay attention to the forest as a whole organism. It's balanced system. When we mirror and when we are studying the forest, we can see that it's a very balanced system. So just that, it's a lot. And actually the course that I'm going to be teaching, that this name about classification in order of nature, it's also about that, about this natural organization of the plants. And so this is very wise, just the way they are in nature, and how can we learn from that. So this is very special and very beautiful, because the plant kingdom, it manifests this wisdom, this has harmonious interaction, and we can see in the forest and the plant kingdom the different levels of manifestation. So we look nature as a mirror where we can find ourselves also, because just to see ourselves as part of nature. So this understanding, it's very important. It's part of the self-knowledge process, and also the healing process that we can experiment many times in our past, in our life. So there's different levels of manifestation that we see in the forest. We also can see inside. So this is the exercise we do, like when you're studying, what that nature, that plants are teaching us. How can we go inside and see, and establishing a connection, with that plant kingdom, with human nature and human reality. So it's a process, actually. It's a process of the decoding. It's a decoding process, right? Because when someone that's very sensitive, like a channel that that channels this information, and after systematizing that information, taking the essence, studying about this, and so this is a process that we are also like building a knowledge about that, and so through that we can also see and find the interaction with human reality. So this is the important point, because we're talking about flowers and plants and how the nature is so beautiful, but how can we use this as a tool for our health, for our knowledge? How can we evolve in that, right? So this is very rich and interesting to observe that, because the plants, the plant kingdom, they preserve, they conserve, their original purpose, the way they are, the way they were created, or the way they came up in nature along the evolutionary, process, that they keep the way they are, because they are like less evolved than us in that, scale, when you're talking about mineral and, plant kingdom, animals, human, humans. So that, and so that they preserve, so they still, they keep that balance. And this is a very important point, because as human being, we we are in that scale, we are like more evolved with our individual consciousness, um, and we have the free will. I mean, at least in some ways we have this free will. Sometimes we think we have, that something bigger than us just come and you know shake us, like, this catastrophes and this natural movements of nature and many things. But in this normal sense in our lives, we have the free will. Our life, it's made out of our choice, right? So this is interesting, because through those choice, it's a challenge, it's a gift, but it's also a challenge, because the same power, the same force we have to be creative and to build something up, to make something very beautiful, we have the same strength to destroy. Huh? As human beings, we are the main, species that are like destroying nature. That's very, very strong. It's a big piece for our reflection, especially now that we can see how, our system, this humanity, and our relation with nature, we are very out of balance. And now we can see even more how the impacts, how nature is responding to us as well. That we cannot, solve anything with money. We need to be wise. We need to find this wisdom inside, and in that relationship. So it's good for our reflection. So what this, what that has to do with flower essence, because we what we work with those essence, because as the plants, they don't have that free will, they just keep their balance. So the information, the properties, the attributes that they bring, they keep there. So when I'm saying about seeing nature as a mirror, when we receive, when we get that, we can use that to find our balance again. When we find ourselves out of balance, so we can use as a path, so like a resilience, kind of step by step, so that's why it's so therapeutical. I'll give some example of some flowers, so I think it's gonna be a little easier for you to understand what I'm bringing. Maybe it's a little different. It's a different perspective. How to relate with nature, but because we don't always, our choice not always favors health and harmony. Many times our choice take us out of balance. We know we can disturb like a distortion. It's very easy for us humans. So through this awareness, so the main point with the flower essence is, it's helping us, to be aware, to expand our consciousness field, to see, to go inside and look, so to know about our own nature. So that's very helpful. So when, for example, when you take some flower, let's see, maybe you are in a process, you are very sad, in a, like, very depressed and going down, and you can't connect with the happiness or you know, just this pleasure of being alive and the interaction, you know. So this is a process, you know, when you're fire, we say about this element therapy perspective. So your fire is going down, so we need to increase, you know. So through the flowers, we're gonna choose, you're gonna see flowers that bring that, you know, energy, like, you know, that can lift up the energy and help you to connect with this inner fire that you have, you know, connecting with that. So this is all through this awareness, you know, being, you know, conscious about your own process, you know. First of all, connecting to your essence, you know, identifying that you are not that depression, that you are not that, you know, that whole obscurity. You know, the obscurity is part of me, it's part of you, it's part of our learning process, that we need to connect to this health pattern. So we use the flowers, you know, the essence this way, you know. Can be something totally different, you know. The person can be like in a very pretty much like the opposite way, you know, with this full of anger and destructive, you know, a lot of, you know, being violent and aggressive. We're gonna go and we're gonna look for some plant, some flower that, you know, brings that wisdom, those properties of calming down, you know. And through the with the element earth sometimes and the water, we can calm down, you know, that fire, because the wood, it generates fire, right? So how can we balance all those elements, you know? So we use, you know, this knowledge of the plants to treat ourselves. So in that first classification, we study more how the plants are organized in nature. So it's not like some human being that came and classified the plants, because actually the plant, you know, when the co-creators, those women that channel the system, they realize, you know, they're like observing nature and seeing how nature is organized. There's a natural order, you know. So they're like catching, like perceiving this, you know. And this is very beautiful, because through that we also learn about ourselves. So this classification, it teach us about the different groups of plants. Like in the forest, the first very big group is the virgin forest. So we have this big group, the virgin forest, and we have also the plants, this Amazon flower essence system. We also have the flower essence that's made out of the flowers that are from the second growth forest. We also call rejuvenated forest. That's a different environment and different information, different approach in the therapeutical process. And we also have the cultivated plants. And so this is also different, the approach and how they treat us and how they help us to balance. So at some point of the research and the study, they accept, they embraced also those flowers, the cultivated plants, because in the beginning they are a little resistant, because the flowers from the virgin forest, because we're in the middle of the Amazon rainforest. But there is very beautiful and great, you know, very therapeutical flowers that we grow in the garden. So here in Portuguese, when we say garden, it's more the flowers around the house. In English, garden, it's the vegetables, right? When you grow this food. So in the cultivated plants, we have 3 subgroups. So we divide in the garden flowers, the medicinal plants, and the fruit-bearing trees. And in the second growth group, that's the intermediate level, it's just a whole group, just one group. And in the virgin forest, that's the main one, like the the fount from where it came from. We have also several subgroups. We have the tall trees, we have the vines, and we have the epiphytes, we have the shrubs, we have the mushrooms. That's from the fungi kingdom, that they also came to join, and they are part of that system. So in that classification, we study also the characteristics of the plants, how they are, like as a group, like the virgin forest, as a group they have similarities, even being a tall tree or being a vine or being a shrub. They're different in some ways, but they have some things in common, some aspects, some characteristics in common. So we start to study about that, what, being a plant from the virgin forest, what they represent, what they bring to us therapeutically, work in a very, very deep level of ourselves, comparing to the second growth forest, that's more intermediate. We call the level of the impact, because it's where this profound I am, this original purpose of each one, how we relate with the external world, so this we call the intermediate level. So also the relationship, and how we deal with challenge and impacts, how we overcome. And then comparing to the cultivated plants, that they work in a more external level. That's, this is not less important, actually. Therapeutically seen, this is all important parts that we need to work in order to find this balance. So it's very complex in the first moment. And then when you start to study, you see that there's a natural wisdom, when you get that, and then it becomes a little easier to understand, because it's a natural organization, it's a natural flow, right? So, and then we start to also study about the difference, about the tall trees, for example. Being a tall tree, what kind of properties, what kind of attributes they bring to us, and how can we relate this, to our own nature, our own process, like a tall tree, like a simple example, a tall tree connects, the base, like, this very deep roots on the ground, on Mother Earth, and then from that connect very high, the highest level, like our antennas. So this connection, for example, the tall trees are the main plants that help us doing this connection and find their center, and the synthesis. So this is just an example how we understand, and this, like this, how this reading, it's a reading about, how we read that nature. So this is very, there is a great influence, or even better, that influence would be like a great, inspiration, on the traditional people of the forest, like the indigenous people, the ribeirinhos, the river, runs, like people that lives along the river, people like native people from that region, they are not so familiar to flower essence therapy, but they are, familiar with nature, and how to read, and how to interact, and how to connect with nature. So in this Amazon flower essence system, you can find a beautiful combination of those aspects, this teaching, this perspective, which glasses we use to look nature. So this is interesting because this the main purpose of focusing on health instead to be researching about sickness and imbalances. We need to know, we need to deal with them, but this is not our main point, because we need to put our attention where we want to grow. So this is beautiful. This is something that we learn with the traditional people from the forest, and you can find this in the Amazon flower essence system. Even it's this flower remedy therapy, very subtle. You can find this aspect and this perspective, the approach of the system, the classifications of the system are very connected to this way of seeing, the native people and the alchemists also. The second classification, that's not about that course, but we talked a lot about the elements. So it's all together. This is not going to be the focus of this first course, but we also bring that information because it's part of that study about each flower. So in this course, classification within the order of nature, we're going to be studying about this, about this order of nature, how we understand that, this reading, and what that means, to our own nature, and how to use that to connect, how to use this as a tool for our health and our self-development. So it's about this this course. So should we open for questions? We had those minutes that I was off, so I can stay a little longer for those who can stay, and I'm open for to answer some questions, or if you have any comments.
Yeah, so we've got about 5 minutes left for our allotted time, but we can definitely go 10 minutes over if that's okay with you, Julia, to do questions.
Yeah, thank you.
Great. So if anybody had any questions, you can post those into the chat, or if you'd like, you can use the hand raise function, and then I can know to find you. And I'll give you some time to post in the chat, and while you're doing that, I'll just post the link again to register for Julia's next event. And like she said, she will be going much more in depth with the flower essences teaching, so it'll be very interested and super exciting, and very educational as well. So I see one question is, are they going to be working with real flowers during the course?
Okay, doing with real flowers? Yeah?
Right.
Is that the question? Okay. We're gonna be working with real flower essence. Okay, so the flower essence, they are made out of real flowers from the Amazon rainforest. So as I just said, like briefly, some flowers are from the virgin forest that you can only find there, but there are some cultivated flowers that they are grown, they are cultivated there in the garden, in that place in the Amazon, that they are cultivated. So all those flower essence, they are part of what we call the Amazon flower essence system. So in our course, this is actually an interesting question, because so I can let you know, usually those courses are is just in person. So we are just starting this modality, the virtual, like online modality. That's also interesting. It's a little bit different. So when we have the course, the classes in person, we have all the essence, we have 70 essence from this main set. And then the person comes and pick up a flower, intuitively it's better. Some people, they like to look and to choose in the different way. It's also fine, but intuitively it's better, because there is inner like intelligence in the system, you know. So many times you just get to know that actually the flowers, you know, that flower picks you to welcome you and to teach you something. And so we're gonna be doing, you're gonna receive, you know, the 3 essence from the 3 different main groups: virgin forest, second growth forest, and the cultivated plants. So you're gonna be working with those essence during the course, during the class.
Great, thank you. There was one more question here from Jane, and she's asking, what is the method for communicating with the flowers?
Okay, that is a good one too. I mean, we don't have like a method like to teach, but it's something that we can open ourselves to learn, you know. As far as I know, and as far as I have a confidence, you know, all this study, this is a gift that we have, you know, and we need to, as I was inviting you in the beginning, like to permeate. I like that word. I'm not sure if you use it, sounds so good as in Portuguese, but to permeate yourself, like to open yourself also. So there are some aspects that helps you to start with that communication, you know. Silent, it's very important to be empty. So it's the same wisdom of meditation, huh? So be silent, be like kind of trying to empty yourself to be able to receive and to see. So we need to see beyond those just 2 eyes, you know, to feel. So it's a lot about feeling, about sensibility. I think everybody has that, but some people, they are way more sensitive. Like naturally they are, you know, they have the sensibility more developed or more opened, or they have less blockages, you know, or less resistance about the sensibility. This is another point, as we also work with flower essence. So through this silence, this meditation and observing, to be observing, you know, the plants, it's very important to go many times and just like, you know, asking permission, the sense of devotion, you know, ask them if, you know, they can open this field of communication. So we start to open for a dialogue. It's not like, oh, I'll be talking with plants. I mean, we can even say that there's not about this, but you can, you know, communicate in other levels, like to feel also, and then you can write about it. You can, you know, receive some insights, you know. And after, when we take the essence also, and then we start to really test and to prove those informations, how, you know, how they act, you know, upon our system, our consciousness, you know, how they help us to see some things and to give some step that sometimes is harder. So the flower essence work this way. So that's the communication. It's a process of learning.
Great, thank you, Julia. That was beautifully said. And I have to thank you for all the teachings today too. They were extremely insightful and just so, they gave me so much joy to listen to. It was a very nice talk tonight, so thank you for that. We'll give a few minutes for questions still if anybody has them. But I do want to say thank you to everybody who joined us tonight. You're the reason that Julia and I are here. So we're very excited to be sharing these teachings with you. We hope to see you back come August 1st for Julia's main course, the meaty course of the flower essences here. Again, we do only have the 30 spots open. So if you're interested, definitely sign up as soon as you can. They will be filling up pretty quickly. So get in while you can. All right, we'll leave just a few minutes for questions, but otherwise have a good evening or good morning, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming. I wish I could see you better, but I was able to see in the beginning. And thank you so much. And I just want to for those who are still there, saying also, you know, that, you know, this course, this study, it's very nice for people that are looking for, you know, they're studying or working already with therapy or in the health area, but can be more open than that, you know, because it's also a great opportunity for also, exercising and like, and a different perspective about this, how you look and how you see and how you interact with nature around you, in general. So it's not only for people. It's very good. Usually people that come and sign up, it's more people that, therapists and, some doctors or different, kind of therapists and people that work in this health area. But it's open, and really helps that like expanding your view, your perspective about nature.
This archive video was brought to you in part through the generous support of the Menla Tibet House US membership community and viewers like you. To learn more about the benefits of membership, visit tibethouse.us.